Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yider Insurance Group, Forward Corporation and T.R. McTaggart, Angler Quest Boats, Security Credit Union, Garber Chevrolet, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine show right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network. My name is Mike Avery, and I am so glad to have you along with us as we continue this journey. We continue this celebration of the outdoor lifestyle, the history and tradition of hunting and fishing, shooting, trapping, getting outdoors, enjoying the outdoors. It's part of our culture. It's part of our heritage for many of us here in the state of Michigan. Now, we are outnumbered these days. There are actually more people in our state who do not hunt or fish or shoot or trap than who do. But it's still a big part of our state's identity, especially when you get north in the state. So I am pleased and blessed to be here every week for 3 hours talking about this history and tradition. By the way, welcome to the month of May. I'm ready for it. I'm ready to get some consistently nicer weather. We've had some peaks at some nice weather, but it's been a cold spring, hasn't it? I mean, I've sat in the turkey woods and had it spitting snow on me several times this season so far. My turkey hunting adventures, I didn't kill a bird yet. I have not. I'll tell you that right now. But I've had some wonderful experiences, a lot of fun, and some close encounters. I did decide the property that I was hunting on to start the season, I sat there, I think, 4 days. Opening day, there was a bunch of gobbles, but I in my time there, I never saw a tom or never even heard a gobble after opening morning. And it's not, there were a lot of birds on that property, and I suspect there still are. But outside of that property, I think I'd hunted pretty hard. Opening day being on a Saturday, I think didn't do any good. So I decided to move on to a new piece of land. That ended up being a good move. There are birds there that haven't been disturbed. And once the weather got nice, they really got active. The last time I was sitting in my blind, it was a beautiful morning. It was cold. But I love getting out there on cold mornings when the wind's not blowing, the sun's coming up, and as I'm getting into my blind, getting set up, the birds started to fire up on the roost. And man, did they go at it. There were at least 4 different birds going, and they sounded like adult birds, not jakes, and they were spread out. So I thought, this is going to be a good morning. They gobbled hard until they hit the ground. They shut up for just a few minutes, and then they fired up again. And I'm the type of hunter, turkey hunter, that I need that validation. I need that reassurance that there are birds around. When the birds go silent, it messes with my mind. If I can hear them gobbling, even off in the distance, I think, okay, there are still birds out there. If I hear one gobble, I can sit for another 2 hours and I'm fine. But if I don't hear any birds talking, I start to get a little nervous. I start to second guess myself, and then my whole hunt gets weirded out. But on this particular day, the last day I was out there, before coming into the studio here, they were fired up and they were just talking like crazy. That morning, I ended up working 3 different birds. At one point, I think I had 3 different birds going at the same time. But one longbeard, I worked him for about an hour and a half. He hung up about 50 yards out, and I just could not entice him in. Now, remember, I got to bring him into 15 yards or less because I'm hunting with a recurve. At one point, I got him into 12 yards. And the way I know that is because I'm hunting in one of those see-through blinds, one of those Primos double bull. This one I have right now is the 270, and I have no business affiliation with that company. They're not an advertising partner of mine at all, but I love these things. I love being able to sit in a blind and having more visibility. And for the most part, the critters cannot look in and see you. So off to my right, my decoys are on the left, off to the right, at 12 yards, this bird comes sneaking in, and I can see him through the blind. He looks at my decoys, he stops, and there was something about him that he didn't like. So he turned around and he walked off. And I thought, what am I doing wrong here? And I looked at my decoys and I realized, Avery, your decoys are kind of janky. Those are some pretty bad-looking decoys. So what I need to do, I think, is to get and I'm not blaming this on my decoys, but I think I'm going to spend the money and get myself a couple of those more realistic, those better-looking decoys that actually look like birds and give those a try. My turkey hunting now, though, has been kind of put on hold for a while. It was a Friday. It was a week ago Friday. Friday afternoon, I'm driving down the road, and the vision in my right eye started to get a little funky. And I had this blur in the middle of my eye, and then I started to get these floater things, and then everything. By Saturday, I could hardly see anything. I could see light, and I could see shapes, but it was like I was looking through a very, very, very thick fog with all these weird floaters, and I thought, hey, Avery, you got something going on here. You better make a phone call. It turns out, after seeing an eye doc and then a specialist, that I've got I had a detached and torn retina. I'm like, well, how does this happen? And the doc said, well, did you have any, exertion? Were you lifting weights or were you out mowing the lawn or anything? No, nothing at all. He said, you're just getting old. He said, welcome to getting old. I thought, well, it is what it is. Beats the alternative, right? So by the time you hear this show, I will have had the surgery and had that corrected. But it's put a little crimp in my style here threw a little monkey wrench into my plans. So I haven't been able to take advantage of the nicer weather and get out there and try to put one of those birds down because I'm on temporary medical lockdown for a few days. But the good news is Hunt ZZ, which I have, which is a Southern Michigan private land hunt, which used to be a 2-week season. This year, when they made their changes to the turkey hunting regulations, they extended it through the end of May. So I now have through the end of May to get this done. So I may need, part of that time this year. So I'm glad that the season is extended. And as I'm thinking about this, and this just hit me the other day, I'm thinking, well, how in the world did I do this? They said, as you get older, the gel in your eye, yada, yada. And I got thinking about it, and I realized how I did it. The last day I was on the first property that I was hunting, when I decided to pull everything out and move to a new piece of land, I had that Primos double bull blind, which is a beautiful blind, but it's kind of a heavy blind. I had that over one shoulder. I had a big backpack on my back full of camera gear and everything else, and that was pretty heavy. I had my folding chair over my other shoulder. I had my bow in my hand. I'm holding 2 decoys in my hand. So it was quite a load. And I'd completely forgotten about this. And again, until just yesterday. On my way out, I tripped on a log or a stick or something I didn't see. And because I had so much weight, I was carrying so much weight up around my shoulders, so much gear, I couldn't stop myself from falling. And I fell. And I fell pretty hard. Luckily, it was soft ground and didn't do any damage, I thought. And again, I completely forgot about it. But when I look back on this, that is exactly how I did it. When I took that fall, walking out of the woods and hit the ground, that's what jarred my eye and pulled everything loose inside of there. So the moral of the story is, number 1, don't get old. Number 2, don't fall. And number 3, if you do fall, don't screw up your eye. At least I didn't put a stick or something in it, right? But it has slowed me down for just a couple of days. Like I said, it's fixed now. By the time you're hearing this, and I am on the mend, and I can get back to getting that turkey down and getting the angler quest out. And speaking of the angler quest, obviously you know by now we can now take the boats out on the water. Happened just in time for the walleye opener, and you can fish with people from different households as long as you keep your 6-foot social distancing distance. I will talk more about that in the Ask Avery segment coming up in the second hour of this week's show. Coming up this week, after the break, Paul Schlafly of Riverside Charters. He is on the Manistee right now. He's fishing for fun because he can't take out any clients. I want to talk with him. He was out on Lake Michigan just the other day. We'll see how that went. Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News wraps up the first hour. Then in hour number 2, we're talking extreme long-range shooting, and you know who that will be. Paul Phillips, the man who has set many world records shooting at more than 4 miles now. He'll bring us up to speed on that. And in our third hour, Mark Martin, member of the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame, a Michigan guy who won the first National Walleye Championship. And then, of course, wild game chef extraordinaire Dave Miner will wrap it all up. And I suspect he has another turkey recipe to help us out there. So a good show coming up this week, in my humble opinion, with some great guests. I'm glad you're along with us. Check out my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and send me an email if you want, Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Lots more coming up after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Traverse City on WTCM. That's 580 AM. You can hear us in Lansing on WILS 1320 AM. And north of the bridge in Newberry, WNBY 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by Boning Archery, Michigan-based Boning, a leader in the archery industry since the 1940s. They're coming up on their 75th anniversary next year. Boning makes everything for bows and arrows except bows and arrows. Think Blazer vanes. But they've been innovators in the archery industry for many, many years. A great family-owned, Michigan-based company. And you know I love that. Check them out online at boning.com. BOHNING, boning.com. While you are online, please check out my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. And check out this website as well, RiversideCharters.com. RiversideCharters.com, the website of Paul Schlafly of, obviously, Riverside Charters, a veteran fishing guide and charter captain who is on the water right now. He can't be working, but he can still be out there for fun. How you doing, Paul?
I'm good, Mike. Yeah, I figured come out today. It's supposed to be a pretty nice day out today, so take advantage of a nice day at least.
This whole shutdown of the charter fishing industry, I can't even imagine what this is like for you, Paul. This is what you do.
Yeah, for sure, Mike. It's I don't know. I've talked to a lot of guys, and we don't even know if we'll be fishing at all this year. This summer, anyways. But I guess let's see what happens. But, as of right now, we're not. So
yeah.
It's a lot of the guys, they depend on it for a living, and it's all a lot of guys, us do, and it's it definitely hurt us. That's our living too. But,
well, and it's a hard enough way to make a living in a good year, because you guys work your tails off during the heat of the season.
Yeah, I mean it's you got to run doubles in the summertime. It's a short season, and to make that money, you got to hit it pretty hard.
Make it while you can, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But, it's just one of them deals. We're on the same boat, so we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, well, good luck to you on that, Paul. Good luck to you on that.
Yeah, for sure.
So today you're on the river. So it's got to be a beautiful morning out there.
Yes, it is. No wind, and that's beautiful out here. Did catch one. We caught one so far. It's about it. About here out. I haven't been up the river in probably 3 weeks. It's been a while. So.
Yeah.
But
and what has changed in that time? I mean, what do you see as far as the fish, the volume of fish, the number of fish?
My guess, the numbers aren't here like they were, earlier, 2-3 weeks ago. But the fish are at near the end of their spawning and cycle. A lot of fish are heading back out to Lake Michigan, and just there's still fish in here, and there's still got a chance of catching a few steelhead and some brown trout, especially up by the dam. You get a lot of brown trout this time of year. So the smaller brown trout that they plant up there.
Yeah.
But my main focus will be starting now is in the big lake now here in the next, hopefully, one of these days we'll be able to at least start guiding. But for now, we went out yesterday, me and my son-in-law, and getting some fish for the smoker. So at least get some fish in freezer and whatnot. So it's that time of year, at least we'll get some fish for ourselves. But yeah, the fishing's pretty good. A lot of lake trout right now. We're catching out in the big lake. Of course, the lake's full of lake trout right now, but there's a few salmon starting to show up too. Guys are getting I've heard of a few salmon being caught, so good sized ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yep. So hopefully we'll be able to get out there and start taking people out again, but guess time will tell and see what happens.
So you probably don't have the big boat even in the water yet, do you?
I don't know. I'm just using my river boat. I just was out yesterday in my river boat. It's big enough to go on Lake Michigan, and just running a few rods out there, just some running some 2 and 3 color lead cores out there is all we're basically running.
Yeah,
fishing the shoreline, so it's pretty easy fishing. You're right along shore and just kind of troll along the shoreline. But today we're fishing. We caught one on a plug today. Started out, and then now we're just out here messing around, trying to get one in casting here right now. But seen quite a few jumping, a few fish rolling around. So there's some fish in here. But try to get them to bite. That's another story.
Well, and when you see them rolling and jumping, that's a water temperature thing, right? They start to do that when it warms up.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times when they're spawning and when they're done spawning and fish get like that, they'll start jumping around. A lot of the ones we've seen were pretty beat up. They're full of fungus on them and stuff, so they're on their tail and they're heading back out to Lake Michigan. Heading back, to the big water to be done spawning, I guess. So, yeah, they're pretty beat up, the ones we've seen jumping.
But steelhead don't necessarily die after they spawn like a salmon, right?
No, steelhead will live. Majority of them will live and go back out in the big water. Where the salmon, of course, die. They don't live. Or the kings and coho don't anyway. So
when you talk about that fungus on there, I've seen kings with it, that, but they're always dying. Will a steelhead look like that, drop back to the lake, and then clear up?
Yeah, sometimes I think they will die. They get too beat up. Some of them won't make it for sure. I've seen them where they don't make it. And they'll be all full of fungus. I think it's from beating on the gravel when they're spawning. Getting beat up. But I think some of them do make it. The ones that aren't too beat up,
yeah,
for sure probably do make it. But a lot of them don't. They will die. I've seen them floating out in the river by my boat. Out down towards Lake Michigan, you'll see them where they didn't make it, but. They probably just older fish or something. Who knows? Or just got too beat up from spawning.
Yeah.
But
the brown fishery out there on Lake Michigan now, the last few years, at one time you guys were known as a really good port for browns. How has that been lately in the springtime?
Last year was really bad. Last year we could hardly even catch any. This year I've heard of a few more caught. The guys, I haven't been out there much yet, but I have heard more browns caught this year so far, but we fished yesterday and never caught one. When we were right in the water, you normally catch them, but you do hear of one here and there caught, but it's not like it used to be, that's for sure. It seems like it's more lake trout, more salmon than you will get browns anymore. In fact, the one lake trout we had a brown trout in his stomach. But, the lake trout are eating them. The young, big steelhead just rolled right here. But, the lake trout are definitely eating a lot of the Fairling brown trout. And they had smell in them, too. We've seen smell in the lake trout, too.
Oh, really?
In their bellies. So might be another smelt. Last year they did pretty good on smelts. So
that's what I was just going to ask you, if you've heard any smelt runs on your side at all.
I haven't heard anything yet, but I'm sure it's got to be close, and get some warmer weather. Should be close, I would think.
Now, isn't it
around the end of April?
Isn't it getting kind of late? Excuse me. Isn't it getting kind of late for the shallow water browns, or does that go right on into May?
It can go in if the water stays cold. Right now, the water has been so cold at night. The water's still real cold. So, there's as long as it stays cold like that, you can catch them in close for sure. We had a lot of cold weather here lately and a lot of north winds. So really haven't. Last week we didn't hardly even fished at all. The last few days have been the nicest weather we've had. Last 3-4 days, but yeah, it's you can catch them in there, and they'll get them around the pier heads. A lot of guys are, I heard some of the guys catching them around the pier heads too. That and walleye in the harbor mouth.
You got my attention with the walleye.
Yeah, there's quite a few guys fishing walleye, right in the river system and in the pier heads. And they're getting some nice sized walleye. And, yeah, it's been pretty good. From what I hear, I don't fish them much. I'm usually concentrating on the browns and stuff. But like I said, you can't hardly get any browns the last few years, so hopefully something will change.
But when you were talking about browns coming in shallow, though, I mean, you're talking real shallow, right? Just a few feet of water.
Yeah, a lot of times I were right in 8-10 foot of water, right up on the sandbars, trolling right along the shoreline. Running rapalas, a lot of stick baits and stones. We'll fish quite a few spoons too. Short lead cores, 1, 2, 3 colors, 4 colors, depending on what depth of water you're in. But yeah, you got a chance of catching a big king in there too. But
that'd be fun. A big king in 8 feet of water would be a riot.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's some big ones. Some of the guys I heard are 18-pounders caught already.
Oh boy.
Yeah, but like I say, I haven't been fishing much because we're shut down. So
yeah,
just haven't been doing a whole lot of fishing.
That noise that I hear, I feel like you're working an electric motor or a drag chain or something. What is that, Paul?
That's an anchor winch, just my anchor, just dropping the boat down. In the hole. Just kind of work down through the holes. We're just casting beads right now, fishing beads. Me and my buddy, he's throwing a bead out here right now, trying to get a fish. Beads and spawn. I see them rolling in here. I've seen 3-4 rolls since we've been talking. So I don't know, can't get them to bite yet. But see what happens.
So are you casting to fish that you see, or just casting into good-looking water?
Casting in spots I normally fish this time of year. They're all gravel runs where the fish spawn. So we're fishing right on the beds. And that's where we're seeing the fish roll right here, right on the gravel. Just kind of traditional spots we always fish this time of year, up on the Big Manistee.
So, but if we talk about sight fishing fish. If you see a fish on a bed there, will you cast to that fish? Will you try to catch that fish?
Sometimes, yeah, but right where we're at, you can't see bottom. It's pretty deep where we're at in the stretch I'm in here. If you get up in certain stretches, you can see them up on the gravel, but usually on the Big Manistee, it's, unless the water's real low and clear, you don't see the fish, so you're not sight fishing quite as much as you do smaller streams like the Little Manistee and stuff. Pure Marquette, they'll do a lot more sight fishing because this is a lot bigger water.
Yeah.
Certain holes you can, but water's kind of, it's not real low. Clear right now, so after all the rain we had last night.
Do you go all the way up to Tippy, or you don't fish up that far?
Oh, I will. Yeah, I'll fish up by Tippy Dam. Yep, just below Tippy, up on the gravel runs. But yeah, these fish I'm seeing are porpoise, and they're just coming up on the surface.
They're teasing you, Paul.
Yeah. Look, like all males too. The ones I'm seeing roll, they're all big males.
How can you tell?
But they're just, you can see the hook jaw. They're dark, real red colored fish, darker fish. They look like males to me anyways.
Well, you would know. You've seen more than most people. Hang tight, Paul. We got to take a break, so you can. I'll give you about a 4-minute break here, and then I'll put you back to work, all right?
Okay.
All right, Paul Schlafly of Riverside Charters, his website, riversidecharters.com, riversidecharters.com. He's been a fishing guide and a charter captain since he was a kid. He spent his entire life on the water, both the river and out on Lake Michigan. And he is generally known and respected as one of the best out there. And unfortunately, right now, he can't fish for a living as he wants, but he can fish for fun, and he's doing that. We'll talk with him about that after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Mount Pleasant on WMMI, AM and FM, 8:30 AM, 92.3 FM. You can hear us in St. Joe on WSJM, 94.9 FM, and you can hear us north of the bridge in Marquette on WDMJ, 1320 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by MUCC's On the Ground program. OTG is a program to improve habitat for fish and wildlife across the state. For details, check out the Michigan United Conservation Club's website, mucc.org, mucc.org. And if you want to save 25% on your MUCC membership, use the promo code MIKE. But I've heard from a couple of you say, hey, it didn't work. I tried to do that. Use the promo code MIKE, all caps, capital M, capital I, capital K, capital E, and then it will work and you will save 25% on your MUCC membership at mucc.org. Right now, we're talking with Captain Paul Schlafly of Riverside Charters in Manistee. Paul is on the river this morning fishing for fun after some steelhead. Paul, listen, you've been fishing all your life. You've been a charter captain, a fishing guide for most of your life, and yet you still go out and fish for fun. Do you ever get sick of it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't do a lot of fun fishing, but I haven't been doing much fishing lately, so I'm getting a bug. Yeah, I used to fishing all the time this time of year, so it's not used to not being out, out in the water. And, so you get the itch for sure when you haven't been doing it for a while. But normally when I'm doing it for a living, you're fishing every day. I don't do much fun fishing.
Yeah.
But
and when you were out there the other day on Lake Michigan, this is an interesting time of year because you don't need that big 36-foot boat like you run midsummer. You can get out there with a smaller boat and still catch some fish.
Exactly. You can go out and 14-footer guys are out there in small boats and probably seen about 5 or 6 14-footers out. And they're fishing around the harbor and guys catching patrol right around the pier head, so you're right in close. And it's easy way to get out in a smaller boat, especially if the weather, like a day like today, there's no wind, and yesterday it's beautiful.
Oh, I know it. After all the wind we've had, what a nice break.
Yeah, for sure. And the water's been really muddy this year because of all the wind, but the lake's actually the clearest right now. It's been all spring. So actually, I just talked to my son-in-law. He's out right now with my daughter, and they're doing really good. And the water, he said, is just perfect. It's just beautiful out there right now.
Well, it is. But do you want clear water, or do you want some color in the water when you're in shallow like that?
You want some color. You don't want it crystal clear, that's for sure. I mean, it's been so muddy you can't even fish because it's just been blowing and all the water's so high right now. All the clay banks, hit the rough water is beating up the shoreline and causing a lot of mud. And you don't want that pure mud. You want it kind of a mix. You want it. A lot of times you'll fish right on the edge of the dirty water, but you don't want it real clear. That's for sure. You want it kind of so you can't see bottom, but you want some color stain to it for sure.
Yeah. So a person could come out this time of year in a small boat, and I mean, do you need downriggers? Are you trolling these with look at
that thing. Where he's going on? He's got one on. He's jumping. Big female. She's going crazy. But yeah.
Hey, no, don't talk to me, man. I want to hear about the fish. Tell me what's going on.
I had a video of this thing. He jumped about 3 times. Bill's got one on here, my buddy. Just on a spawn sack too. I just been running beads through the hole, and we put a spawn on and got one. So never know what these fish are going to bite. But I've been seeing them roll all over in here this morning, so they're definitely in here. But anyways, we were talking about the little boats.
Yeah, but I want to hear about this fish you got on. Keep talking to me. Putting up a good fight?
He's going crazy. He just jumped about 4 times here. Now he's right at the boat. There he goes. I wish I had a video of this. Yeah, he's going a nice chrome female. Seems like this time of year you catch more of the females than you do the males. I don't know why. But females seem to be more aggressive than the males do. And I have no idea why that is. And a real chrome fish it is, too. He's just hanging there. Bill goes, that's a heavy one.
I want to see. You got 2 minutes to get this fish in if you're going to do it on the air. Can you do it?
Okay, I can try.
Don't lose it, though. Don't lose it on my account, though.
Well, let's see here. He's just kind of hanging there. He's just dogging right now. He's going berserk.
Paul, I can't tell you how many times we've had you on the air and you've got a fish on when we were talking.
Especially in the big lake. Seems like you're always getting one on.
Yeah, I'm Avery's good luck.
He's just hanging deep right now. Yeah, it's funny. He's just dogging.
So what do you do? Just keep pressure on that fish until it gets tired?
Yeah, he'll just keep pressuring him and just keep trying to work him in. Real chrome fish. This is bright. Right over here. Yep. You can get over here. But now she's a rolling.
You got the net out yet?
Yep. And we're getting there.
Pressure's on, Paul. You got a minute.
Got a minute. You got to get a minute. I think we're going to get it. We got him. Got her. Yeah, beautiful.
Excellent.
Heck, it's a fresh one. Ain't even spawned out or nothing. It's
excellent.
Yeah, nice chrome fresh fish.
Well, you know what I'm going to ask you now. Take a picture with that fish,
Yep.
and I'll post it, and I'll say, this is the fish you guys caught on air.
Okay, I'll do that, Bill. Or, I mean, Bill. I'm talking to Bill. Mike.
All right, Paul. I appreciate that. Listen, we're out of time anyway. It's always a pleasure talking with you. I hope you get back on the water with clients very soon, and appreciate you letting us share the morning with you. Thank you, Paul.
All right. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it too, buddy. I'll take a picture right now.
I'll look forward to it. Paul Phillips. I'm sorry, Paul Schlafly. See, I called him the wrong name. Paul Schlafly, Riverside Charters. Paul Phillips is with us in hour number 2. RiversideCharters.com. Look for the picture. Go to my Facebook page or my Instagram, and I will show you the picture of the fish they caught right now, live on the air. We'll take a break. When we come back, Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Alpena on WZTK 105.7 FM. You can hear us in Holland on WHTC 1450 AM 99.7 FM. And north of the bridge in the Sioux on ESPN 1400 WKNW. I was hoping to go through the Sioux on my way to Quebec for a bear hunt here in a couple of weeks, but that ain't going to happen. At this point, I was supposed to go to Quebec in, like I said, May. At this point, I'm just hoping we can go to Ontario in August on a bear hunt. But it is what it is. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by Linwood Beach Marina and Campground. Linwood Beach can be your year-round Saginaw Bay fishing destination and your Mid-Michigan Tracker and Angler Quest headquarters. I was up there Saturday. And, man, there are a bunch of Angler Quests on trailers ready to go. Mine is one of them. I think Linwood Beach has kind of become Angler Quest headquarters. They are going to open for business just as absolutely soon as they can. I talked to the guys up there Saturday. They want to get the doors open. They're just waiting to get the go-ahead. Keep an eye on them online at linwoodbeachmarina.com. That's linwoodbeachmarina.com to be ready to go. Speaking of ready to go, the folks at Woods and Water News are always ready to go. They have to put out a monthly publication regardless of what is going on in the world, and they do a wonderful job of it. With it, Tom Campbell is one of the reasons why, and he's with us now. Tom, welcome back. How you doing?
Hey, thanks, Mike. We're hanging in there. We are hanging in there. Things are looking better every day, and we're still hoping for the best. So, with that, we're working on the June issue.
June?
If you can believe that.
How can it's only May as folks are hearing this show? How can you possibly be looking at June?
Absolutely. The MJ June may be looking a little brighter too. Hey, that's just the way it is, Mike. The May issue is out on the newsstand as we speak, and in the mail for all our subscribers. So with that one done, we'll take the next month as they come. So.
And I've asked you this before, but how far in advance do you work? And I mean, as far as soliciting stories from your writers,
right. Yeah, it's very nice that we've talked so many times about the great core writers that we have, and they've got it down too, so that they know, and what they're doing this year is building stories for 2021. So that's always a big advantage. And some of the guys that are doing it that you see in there regularly with 2 and 3 stories, they know our system, and I've got July, August stories in the file already for them that they're not time sensitive. They're techniques, so they're all good to go, and they're locked away and ready for that month. So it makes it nice and makes it a lot easier on us for sure. So it's not as tough as you make it sound, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, I listen, and it's not as easy as you make it sound, too.
No, that's right. That's true, too.
So the May issue is out. The May edition is out right now. What are we going to find? What's in it?
Yeah. Of course, we're still. One great thing is we're still getting nice big buck stories from 2019 deer season, and we get a real interesting story about a gentleman that has been hunting a particular buck for 4 years, trail camera, the whole scouting, and having it opportunity after opportunity, and never being able to get it. This year, it was hit by a car. Now he was the people that found the deer was good enough to actually give him the antlers in the head, and of course he's got it mounted. Great story about how he's hunted it, and then the tragedy that at the end of its demise. So every hunting story has a twist and turn in it, and we got some of those. So it's always great. But of course, one great feature in the May issue that we love is we've got morels, all about morels in there, and we've got a great topic covered by an actual scientist, an instructor for U of M, talks about false morels and about what you should eat and what you shouldn't eat. So it's a great primer for anybody that's going to venture out and do some morel hunting. And then to fulfill that, after that, we've also got a gentleman that's been looking, I guess you would call him a morel expert, and he talks about how to find morels. And we're not talking about this tree, that species of tree, or when the temperature of the ground is this degree. He's talking about how you actually look for a morel when you're in the woods. So, and if you think about it, when you're in that tree stand, hunting whitetail, there's certain things that you look for, certain movements, certain colors, certain things. And he's kind of applied that same logic to morel hunting. And it made sense to me as I read it, and I'm going, wow, that's why I walk by so many.
Yeah.
So he's got a whole system of observing morels. So it makes for great reading for sure. And
who is that guy?
I think everybody's ready to get out and look for morels, right?
Who is the guy who wrote the story?
You know what? It's actually a guest column. It's the first time he's ever written for Woods and Water News. So isn't that a great?
Is it Rob Miller?
I mean, it is not. No, it is not Rob Miller. Yeah. No, it is not. But, yes, so you'll have to check that out, too. It's fascinating work, too. And he's got a great system. And I think, like I said, and everybody's so revved up and ready to get out in the woods and look for morels. I think it'll help you out. Both those stories should really help you out.
I check out every edition of Woods and Water News. Tom, you guys do a great job. The website, woods-n-waternews.com, woods-n-waternews.com. Tom Campbell, appreciate you joining us. We'll take a break for the top of the hour. When we come back, extreme long-distance shooting with Paul Phillips. You've heard him on the show here before. He is one of the best, and he's joining us in just a few minutes right here on Outdoor Magazine.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yider Insurance Group, Forward Corporation and T.R. McTaggart, Angler Quest Boats, Security Credit Union, Garber Chevrolet, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to hour number 2 of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. Right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network, 29 AM and FM stations across the great state of Michigan. And this is, first and foremost, a radio show. It is recorded, scheduled, produced, distributed as a radio show, a 3-hour show. And most of our affiliates carry all 3 hours of the show each and every week, but not all of them do, and that's fine. That's understandable. Airtime on the weekends is valuable, so I appreciate any access that I can get. If your local affiliate doesn't carry all 3 hours of the show, or if you live in some part of our state not covered by the broadcast signal of the Outdoor Magazine radio show, and again, I think the best way to listen is on your local radio station, if you can. But if you can't, there is an option. It is the podcast version of the show. How do you listen to the podcast? Well, lots of different ways, and lots of people doing podcasting these days, and I think that's great. I've been doing podcasting a long time, and it's a wonderful opportunity for people who say don't have a radio show to get the word out, to get the message out. But what I do with my podcast is I take the audio from the Outdoor Magazine radio show and I make it available online, somewhere other than on your local radio station. The best place to get it, I think, probably just go to the website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. That's a clearinghouse for all things Mike Avery Outdoors and Outdoor Magazine Radio. It's also on the Facebook page. I put it up there every Sunday afternoon. It's on my Twitter feed, Avery Outdoors on Twitter. I put it on LinkedIn. It's on iTunes. That's probably the more convenient place for most people. It's on iTunes and Google Play. Also, we have a free mobile app that you can download on iTunes Store and Google Play. iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, radio.com, and I also put it up on YouTube as well. I know YouTube is for video, right? Well, I put the radio show up there as well. So lots of ways for you to hear the podcast version of the Outdoor Magazine radio show. Regardless of how you are listening, I do certainly appreciate it. I also appreciate my guest this hour. His name is Paul Phillips. If you have been with me at all here on the show, you have heard Paul before. He is one of the best extreme long-range shooters in the world. You cannot dispute it. His record, his medals, his accomplishments prove that. But he also happens to be a Michigan guy. How cool is that? And he joins us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Paul, welcome back. How you doing?
Hey, great, Mike. Sunny day and almost 60 degrees. It's going to be a beautiful day today.
I know it is a beautiful day out here. And the last time, Paul, the last time you and I talked in person, you were joining us at a Wednesday night live up in West Branch at the Forward Conference Center, and you drove 4 hours in a snowstorm to see us there. I appreciate that. A little nicer today, though.
Yeah, hey, you know what? Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, you know?
Well, I appreciated you being there, and as you can tell from the reaction of people who joined us, Paul, people are very interested in what you're doing these days.
You know, it's a lot of fun. I never really thought I'd be in this position I'm in today. You know, I started my career military and law enforcement, and as it's coming to an end next year, I'm going to be very excited on what I'm going to do with my time, you know, how I'm going to give back to society. All the things I've learned and all the things I've experienced and all the people that I've met and learned from, I really would like to utilize all those things and give back to the children and shooting sports and education. That's kind of what I'm looking at now.
Isn't it interesting where life takes you over the years?
It is, and it's interesting. There's opportunities that come in front of you, and you have a choice, to go which road you want to go down. And sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes you go to dead ends, you have to turn back around and restart. But, it's been a fun ride. And the biggest thing that I take away from all these times I've had time to reflect back all these years and these stay-at-home days, you have time to think about your life. And, there's nothing better than I enjoy than being in the outdoors. And really it gives us the most comfort and fun and it's healthy. The Michigan outdoors is a great place to be.
Well, I believe in that wholeheartedly. The problem with the Michigan outdoors is you can't find a range long enough here to shoot at.
Well, we're working on those things. The Marksmanship Training Unit, Training Center, MTC, and Cadillac, they are former military veterans, and they're very, very motivated to keep educating the folks in Michigan and creating more training opportunities for all ages. And they're definitely a place that I'm going to be frequenting in years to come. They keep putting money into their facility. It's centrally located. So that's one place we have. And there's also other places that are in the middle of being built downstate. So it's coming. Obviously, for extreme long range, the distances that we talk about of a mile and beyond, those are going to be difficult. But definitely looking at, out to 1,000 yards and maybe beyond very shortly.
Remind me, Paul, and for folks who haven't heard this story before, what was your latest shot documented? It was more than 4 miles, wasn't it?
It was. We have been pushing the envelope with all of our equipment. The last shot we took was in Nevada desert, and it was 7,070 yards, which is 4.01 miles. 4 miles. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Gosh. It is crazy. When I can't even imagine that, Paul.
It is. It's sometimes when I go to these extreme long range competitions, and year was my best year ever, probably. I think in extreme long range, my team took first, third, and fourth out of 80 shooters, and really was amazing. We worked really hard and practiced a lot for that championship. And when I look back at some of those targets that we engage, when you go 3 for 3 at like 2,000 or 2,400 yards, I mean, that's almost a mile and a half, and we're hitting the plate 3 times in a row. I mean, it really is. It's surreal. I mean, it's hard to believe that you can be that accurate. We've came a long ways in the last 30 years with this technology, and it's scary. It really is scary of what we're able to accomplish with these weapon systems and sighting systems and bullet technology and barrel technology. I mean, it's crazy what we're doing.
I'm thinking at 4 miles, though. I mean, the target isn't even where it was when you first pulled the trigger because of the Earth's rotation, and your bullet's probably going, 1,000 yards into the air? I mean, it's the mathematics are just mind-boggling.
Yeah, it is. The science of accuracy with applied ballistics, they've done a great job with creating all these applications and putting all the science on a heads-up display that we can utilize. And then obviously there's still a human factor of holding the rifle and getting a good trigger squeeze and looking at the wind and adjusting for the wind. And there's just so many things that go into it that it really is. It's like a science laboratory when you're out there shooting. You have to take everything into consideration. And that's why it makes it so challenging. When we were shooting 500 yards, when we did I think the first TV show I did with you back in the 90s, I think, 500 yards seemed like a long shot. Oh boy. Today it's like, it'd be like shooting your bow, 5 feet, it's just so easy.
Well, I remember, it was 500 or 600 yards there, and I looked at that and I said, there's no way in the world somebody can shoot that far. And what you guys have done since then, I mean, and I have nothing but respect for our military, but are you ahead of the military? Is the military coming to you guys saying, how do you do this? I mean, what's that whole relationship like?
Yeah, it is. So I don't like to break it down in segments like that because the military soldiers, they're limited to what they can get their hands on. Mm-hmm. And then their mission's different, right? They got people shooting back at them. So it's a little bit different mission, but the technology and the development of the ballistics and the rifle packages that they use are definitely they're learning from what we're doing. And actually right now I'm working on some prototype rifles for the military that we're going to do a demonstration in the fall, hopefully, if this virus stuff doesn't get knocked down. But I'm really excited about developing, being ahead of my own program to develop a system to do some demos for the military and, possibly maybe get interest within that realm. But it's really interesting. We're trying to help out. There's a lot of companies that are sponsoring me that are already involved with the military and have been for a long time. McMillan, Barrett, Night Force, those are some of the big companies that have already been involved with the military for, 20, 30, 40 years. And it's just, I, as being a former Marine, I take it to heart to give back to the military and try to do the best I can to give them what works. And
wonderful.
It's fun doing it too, right? And I also use it for hunting, right?
Well, and I want to talk about that. We got to take a break here first, Bob. Let's come back and talk about that. Your website, if I remember right, globalprecisiongroupllc.com.
That's it.
All right, globalprecisiongroupllc.com is where you can find out, well, one of the many places online you can find more about Paul Phillips. Check him out on YouTube as well. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about this hunting application. 4 miles? Let's bring it back to shooting a Michigan whitetail at 300 yards or something like that. We'll do that after the break with Paul Phillips right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Tawas on WIOS 1480 AM, 106.9 FM. You can hear us in Port Huron on WPHM 1380 AM. And let's go north of the bridge. Let's go to Ishpeming, WIAN 1240 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Great Lakes Charter Training. If you've ever wanted to be a charter captain, I think this is your best option. I took the class with Captain Mel. Passed it. Still waiting for my Coast Guard paperwork to be returned. Hopefully returned in the affirmative. But the system is slowed down right now, obviously, because of everything that's going on. So I will wait patiently. Obviously, we can't get together for classes right now, but Captain Mel has a system worked out where you can do an online class that will be Coast Guard approved as well. I can't speak highly enough about this class and how it prepares you to get licensed. And I'm looking forward to getting that license in my back pocket, even though I'm not going to run charters. I've already had several people say, hey, I want to book a charter with you. No, I'm not going to run paid charters. But I just want to have that charter captain's license in my pocket for a number of reasons. And you might as well. Check them out online at glctraining.com. That's glctraining.com. While you are online, take a look at my website, if you would, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. And check out this website, globalprecisiongroupllc.com. That is the website of Michigan native Paul Phillips, former Marine and a world-class extreme long-range shooter, documented shot at more than 4 miles. And Paul, how do we take that? How do we bring that back? You're shooting at 3 and 4 miles. Well, how does that help us as a Michigan deer hunter?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mike. The technology that we have that enables us to shoot targets out to 2, 3, 4 miles, it's the same technology that every hunter can use to increase their range on taking out their animals and whatever they're hunting, the game, with higher success rates. And what we look at is an applied ballistics applications called the WES or analysis tool. Okay, so you take this tool and you program all this information into whatever cartridge that you're shooting and velocity, and you take the velocity, you enter it in there, and it gives you an analysis tool of how big of groups that you could shoot out to certain ranges. So you take that tool, and that'll give you a really good idea on what application you can use and what distances you can shoot. So, because you can imagine, remember when you were shooting a mile and we had that bigger, heavier rifle, you probably wouldn't want to be able, take that walking through the woods and scouting all day. It'd be a little bit too heavy. Yeah. So the same technology, what we're doing now is we're going to be taking those same tools and we're going to be trying to get a rifle built down into like an 8 to 12 pound package that still can utilize the same technology and engage targets from 100 to a mile. That's what my goal is. And it can be done. We just have to, we're working with some new carbon barrel technology. We're working with some titanium actions and lighter weight materials to get those packages really lightweight, but still have the performance to engage targets. And the most important thing is, no matter what you have, what cartridge you have, if you understand what the capabilities are and you get some zeros out to, whatever the ranges that are what your zone is. If you want to shoot a 10-inch circle, you just keep shooting until you get out so you know what your limitations are. And then when you go hunting, and when you know what you take your range finding estimates of whatever the locations you're hunting, you're way more effective. You'll be way more confident, and you'll be able to make ethical, clean kills.
I think you told me something I wasn't aware of, and I got to circle around and go back to this. Did you say you're working with some gun companies to come up with, for lack of a better term, a Paul Phillips signature hunting rifle?
No, we're working on a new military sniper rifle package platform. We're not inventing new tech, well, maybe a little bit of new technology, but we're just trying to get a platform for hunters and military snipers that's something that's lighter weight, around 8 to 12 pounds, that can still engage targets out to a mile.
Gotcha.
And be effective. That's kind of what, but they really go hand in hand, right? You want cold bore shots, meaning there's no time to sit down and practice before you're shot. So if you see an animal come out in front of you at, let's say, 550 yards, you should be able to get in a nice stable position and know what the elevation is and know what kind of windage to dial on and make the shot and be able to put that bullet within, 4 or 5 inches of where you're aiming. And so that's kind of the whole rationale of what we're trying to do. We're trying to take everything that I've learned in the last 30 years and try to put it back into technology. And we're working with a lot of companies that sponsor me. Lab Radar, they make a portable radar that measures bullet velocity. It's huge for determining these calculations. Obviously, Applied Ballistics with the science of accuracy portion. And then, big companies like Night Force with the scopes and Macmillan with the new stock they're coming out with, a lightweight version for hunters and for military. We got the Bartline barrels on there with new carbon technology. And then we got some new action technology. John Pierce, that lives in Saginaw, he owns Precision Engineering. He's making a a very lightweight action titanium that's being offered now. So, and also we got Stiller Actions involved. There's just a lot of companies that are involved with all this new lightweight technology. We're going to try to put it all together and have a nice package for hunters and for military. What
caliber is your extreme long-range target gun, the one that you made that 4-mile shot with?
That's a 416 Barrett. Barrett's out of Tennessee. They've been making military rifles for a long, long time. That's a little bit heavier and bigger. That's more of a platform rifle. And so we're trying to get something that's really, really lightweight and still accurate out to a mile. That's what our goal is.
And obviously that wouldn't be a 416. What are you looking at? I mean, you get 308. What do you want this to be, Paul?
We're going to look at the 7mm cartridges. We're going to look at the 30 caliber cartridge and possibly maybe a 338. But we're looking at the bullets in 30 caliber, 7mm, and 338. And we have some different variations of what will work in those capacities. There's a friend of mine I wanted to mention real quick too, for any of those people that do want to practice hunting and shooting. There's a range in Ohio, our brother Ohio, and it's Thunder Valley Precision with Tom Sarver. He's a good friend of mine. I went down there. He got a beautiful facility. It's a privately owned facility. You can go down there anytime you want, and he's got ranges out to 2,600 yards. So I've been doing a little testing down there, and he's also going to help me with this project. We're going to work together. But he holds the 1,000-yard. He has held a 1,000-yard world record bench rest and 1-mile bench rest. So with him and I working together, we're going to hopefully knock this ball out of the park.
Wow. Well, I'm confident you will, Paul. Everything you've worked on the last few years, you've excelled at, and you have brought exposure to extreme long-distance shooting that just wasn't there before. I mean, there's such high interest in this now.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, Mike. I've opened myself up to the public with encouraging people to text me and call me with anything that they need, and I'm a little bit overwhelmed with that. I love it though. I enjoy it, but I'm getting texts from South Africa, South America, Australia, Europe. I mean, all over the globe, people are texting me and asking me questions, and I'm trying to do the best I can to be a good advocate for extreme long range and educating them. There's just a lot to learn. There's a lot of misinformation on the internet. Unfortunately, internet's a great thing, but there's also a lot of static and a lot of misinformation. So, when you're building these rifles, especially some of these custom rifles, it can be very expensive. And if you're getting bad information, it could be really a frustrating thing to go down the wrong road and to learn that maybe you should have went a different route.
Give me an example of that. What's out there that's bad, that's information that's sending people the wrong way?
Well, I don't want to point my finger at anybody because I would never do that. But, well, for example, a friend of mine who's an elderly guy in Michigan, he's a Michigan native, he really was following along with the King of Two Mouth shows and watching a lot of stuff on YouTube and whatnot. He became really in love with extreme long range, and he wanted to buy a gun and shoot it. Well, he's a 70-year-old man in his 70s, and he's had some bad health, and he can't get in the prone position. So, he was, being told to get a precision rifle, with different, those guys do a lot of more difficult positions like sitting and standing and getting in boats and standing on fence posts and, a lot of stuff that he would not be probably wanting to do.
Mm-hmm.
So he purchased some rifles and he had some fun, but it really wasn't what he wanted. He wanted to shoot bench rest, sit in the chair, and put his rifle on a bench rest and shoot targets at a mile and beyond. So that application just wasn't right for him. Now, I'm not saying not to get into PRS. I'm just saying that you have to ask yourself, what do I want to do with my rifle before you purchase one? And you might want to reach out to people that have experience in those types of events to ask them what type of rifle should I get for that event. Because there's bench rest, there's prone shooting, there's target shooting, there's PRS shooting, there's all kinds of different shooting, but you really have to get the best tool for the job.
And is there, and I don't know the answer to this, and I'm on shaky ground asking you this on a radio show, but are there plans? See, I would think that if you guys came up with, again, a Paul Phillips signature model rifle, that people could come to you and say, here's what I need it for. You could set them up. I mean, there would be a tremendous market for this because they know it's coming from a reputable source.
Yeah, maybe in another year or two, I might consider that. Right now, I would be more just a consultant and maybe pointing people in the right direction with quality gunsmiths and quality people that do it for a living. I learned a long time ago that I'll stick to what I know best and how to do. I'm not a machinist. I'm not a gunsmith. And that's not something I probably would want to get into because I'll be spending all my time in a machine shop.
Yeah.
And I want to be out there shooting and teaching people. So I would say that I definitely could point people in the right direction and then definitely have some training involved there to help them foster their relationship with their weapon system and learning how to learn ballistics and employing all the tools that are out there today and how to do that for sure. But there's a lot of quality gunsmiths in the Midwest and people that I use to build the most accurate rifles in the world.
Paul, let's talk about that. We got to take another break. I'm sorry to cut you off, but we got to take another break. When we come back, I'm going to ask you two questions. Do we need a custom rifle, or can we go to a store like Jay's when they open back up and buy one off the rack that'll do a good job for us? And I also want to see how your long-range 22 shooting is going as well. I think that's fascinating. And that, of course, is an option that might be open to a lot of people. We're talking with Paul Phillips, his website, globalprecisiongroupllc.com, globalprecisiongroupllc.com. Paul Phillips, one of the best extreme long-range shooters in the world, and he's right here in Michigan. We'll talk with him more after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Battle Creek on WBCK. That's 95.3 FM. You can hear us in Sandusky on WMIC 660 AM. And in Saginaw on WSGW FM 100.5. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by Reader Landscaping. The guys at Reader are back to work, and they are excited, ecstatic, and they're full of energy, and they're ready to help you take care of your lawn and property because it's your nature and our nurture. If you are on the list, be patient. They will get to you as quickly as they can. If you're looking for somebody to take care of your lawn and garden and property this summer, get in touch with the folks at Reader. Check them out online at readerlandscaping.com. That's readerlandscaping.com. I use Reader because I figure every hour they spend mowing my yard is another hour I can spend out on the Angler Quest on Saginaw Bay. ReaderLandscaping.com. While you're online, check out this website, globalprecisiongroup.llc.com. That's the website of Paul Phillips, a friend of mine, longtime friend of mine, really, really a great guy, and one of the best extreme long-range shooters in the world, and he has proven that time and time again. Paul, I know that at your level, your rifles are custom-made, top of the line, but can I go to a store like a Jay's or someplace like that and buy a decent quality gun off the rack and get good accuracy with it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I highly encourage people, if they don't have the budget but they still want to play the game, there's a lot of cartridges out there that can reach out to a mile that are factory. I remember telling you the story with John Droley, a good friend of mine in Midland, who was on the U.S. shooting team, longtime shooting buddy. He took a over-the-counter 300 Ultra Mag and shot a sub 3-inch group, 3 shots at a mile. That was a factory rifle. So there are factory rifles that can do those sorts of things, but it's just like a racing car or a fancy boat, or a fancy fishing rod or bow. If you want to spend the money, you can. It takes a lot of money to fine tune those accuracy levels. But back to what I was telling you before, to answer your question, is yes, there is. There's cheaper, more affordable rifles. They may not be able to maintain that precision that a $10,000 rifle will, but you just have to know your distances, right? So, for example, like my 308s, I can shoot sub 2-inch groups, 10-shot groups at 500 yards all day long in calm conditions, versus maybe a factory 308 might do like 12 inches at 500 yards, let's say. So that's the difference. You're just going to increase your range with the custom barrels and blueprinted actions and triggers versus a factory. But there's a lot of the technology in the factory rifles is really good nowadays. I mean, you could easily go to Jay's and purchase a good cartridge and understand the ballistics and be able to make first-round impacts out to a mile with a factory rifle. Absolutely.
And I know you like the 30 cals, but we hear so much about, 6.5 Creedmoor and stuff. I mean, what should we look at? What would you recommend?
The 6.5 Creedmoors are awesome. They're very popular. It's a really good mid-range cartridge. The 6mm are even more accurate and less recoil. I'm actually in the middle of building my daughter a 6BR, which is going to be, I'm just so excited about this, for her to start shooting competition F-class. We're doing a 6BR, which is a little tiny 100-grain bullet in a 6mm. No recoil at all for juniors. And also the 22s are going to be great for the kids. But I'd say 6mm, 7mm, 30 caliber, those are all good. 6.5. It's just whatever you feel comfortable with. But I think the 6mm, 6 Creedmoor, 6.5 Creedmoor, 7mm, those are all very popular cartridges and they have bullet selections now that will make all those calibers very, very good.
And you mentioned a 22. When you first brought that up to me, I got very excited about that because everybody's got a 22 in their gun safe. How cool is that to see how far you can shoot those tiny things out?
Oh man, it's a blast. I'm overwhelmed right now with my daughter. She's 10 and she really likes to shoot. And we went through all the basic safety stuff, and now she's getting a little just pushing her chest out because she's starting to shoot some groups that are making Dad a little bit jealous. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun to see where we take her and what type of activities we can get involved in. And she hit 1,000 yards with her 22. There's a nice little article on AccurateShooter.com. Yeah, I took her out and she shot 1,000 yards with a 22 rimfire. There's a big article on AccurateShooter.com. And then she was engaging headshots on plates at MTC out to 400 yards with a 22, and shooting like 1 and 2 inch groups at 300 yards. Unbelievable.
Wow.
And she just would smile. So it's pretty cool.
It is cool, Paul. And listen, I always appreciate your time. You're a busy guy, but what you've done to bring positive attention to the shooting sports, extreme long-distance shooting, is very impressive. I'll send people to the website, globalprecisiongroupllc.com, globalprecisiongroupllc.com. Paulie, always a pleasure, and let's talk again.
Oh, sounds good, Mike. Take care, buddy.
All right, will do. Paul Phillips of globalprecisiongroupllc.com. Honestly, one of the best extreme long-range shooters in the world. Check him out on YouTube. Do a search on YouTube for Paul Phillips, or just do an online search for Paul Phillips, and the things that will come back will be absolutely very impressive. We've got to take another break here on the Outdoor Magazine show. When we come back, this week's Ask Avery segment, it deals with boating and fishing and members of households other than your own. Can you do it? The answer coming up after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Caro on WKYO. That's 1360 AM. You can hear us up north in Sheboygan on Big Country Gold, WCBY, 1240 AM, 100.7 FM. And you can hear us in Flint on Super Talk 1570 WWCK. This segment of Outdoor Magazine, the Ask Avery segment is brought to you by Security Credit Union. Security Credit Union loves to work with outdoorsmen and women, and they can help you with your next outdoor adventure. Check them out online at securitycu.org. That's securitycu.org. The way the Ask Avery segment works is you can send me a question. You can send it directly to me, or you can ask me to pass the question along to somebody else. For example, if you got a question about the DNR or something that you can't get to, well, maybe I can. But and you can pose those questions to me either via email, Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com, or hit me up on any of the social media outlets. This week, Alvin Juliet sent me a private message on Facebook. Alvin says, "Are we able to fish in a boat with a friend not of the same household?" And the reason Alvin is asking this is, well, when the restrictions first went into place about social distancing, you were not technically allowed to have people from different households in your boat. And then, of course, you couldn't be out in a motorboat at all. And there's still some questions about how that whole thing happened, but it was being enforced. With the latest executive order, here's how it reads. Individuals may leave their home or place of residence and travel as necessary to engage in outdoor recreational activity consistent with remaining at least 6 feet from people from outside the individual's household. Outdoor recreational activity includes walking, hiking, running, cycling, boating, golfing, or other similar activity. So that, to me, says, yes, indeed, you can be out with people from folks outside of your household as long as you keep your 6-foot distance. Just to be sure, I sent a text to Ed Golder, who is the PR guy for the DNR. I said, Ed, can folks from different households be in the same boat if they observe the 6-foot rule? His answer, yes. So we're getting that from both the governor's office and the DNR. So that's what I'm going to go with. Now, you might remember that the whole boating thing, the boating ban, wasn't actually part of the executive order. The confusion came about is when the frequently asked questions were put out, it was somehow added there. And the DNR was enforcing it based on the FAQs. I think now it's pretty clear, though, that you can indeed be out on the water in a boat with members, with people from outside of your immediate household as long as you keep your 6-foot distance, which is going to be pretty hard in a 12-foot boat, isn't it? 14-foot boat. But I get it. But that is the answer. And I want to thank the folks at Security Credit Union for helping to make the Ask Avery segment. If you have a question for me, I'd love to hear it. It can be a question directed to me about something I do in the outdoors, some way I hunt and fish, or it can be about rules or regulations, which I will go to the experts to ask on that one. or anything else, send me an email to mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, or hit me up on any of the social media outlets, and I would be happy to answer your Ask Avery segment. Okay, what else is going on? I do not have my turkey yet. My turkey season got a little bit interrupted when I had some unexpected eye surgery. By the time you hear this show, that will be taken care of, and I will be on the mend. But I'm forced to stay out of the woods, forced to not be able to really do anything for a little while. Fortunately, Hunt ZZ, the Southern Michigan private land hunt, has been extended. This year, it goes all the way through May, so I still have plenty of time. I'm not usually a big fan of hunting during that May season. I call it the mosquito season, even though some of the best turkey hunters I know swear by the May season. But this year, I'm obviously, since this is now May that you're hearing the show, the next time I will be in the woods will be in May. Maybe this will be the first turkey I ever kill in the mosquito season, the May season. And I had a close encounter the other day, just wasn't quite able to make it happen. But when you're hunting with a recurve, I don't have that 40, 50 yards of distance that I would have with a shotgun. But that's okay. This is the way that I want to do it. I have decided that I think maybe I need to upgrade my decoy setup, my decoy system. I've been using some fairly inexpensive collapsible foam decoys, and I've never had a problem with it in the past. Never been concerned about it. But this last week, I called in a real nice longbeard. Called him into 12 yards. And he came out of the woods. He looked on the edge of the field, saw my decoy setup, and actually stopped. And the reason I was able to see him is I was looking through my see-through blind, and I can see him over there. So I know what he's doing. I couldn't get a shot at him. But something about the decoy setup turned him off. Maybe it was the number of decoys. I had 2 of them out. Maybe it was the fact, the way I had them placed or whatever. But he didn't like something. But I see this as an excuse to go buy some new decoys. We can always find an excuse, can't we? If we're looking to upgrade our hunting and fishing gear, toys. We got to take a break here for the top of the hour. When we come back, Mark Martin will join us to talk all things fishing. You know Mark, member of the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame, a winner of the first National Walleye Championship, used to guide on the Muskegon Lake, Muskegon Channel for walleye, and a very, very knowledgeable and interesting guy. And, of course, wild game chef extraordinaire Dave Miner will have another great recipe. That's coming up in hour number 3 of this week's Outdoor Magazine.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yider Insurance Group, Forward Corporation and T.R. McTaggart, Angler Quest Boats, Security Credit Union, Garber Chevrolet, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to hour number 3 of this week's Outdoor Magazine show. My name is Mike Avery, also known as the Big Guy, and I'm glad to have you along with us as we continue our celebration of this wonderful outdoor heritage, the history and tradition of the outdoor lifestyle, hunting and fishing and shooting and trapping and all things fun, all things biologically sound, all things biologically necessary, ordained by God, if you choose to look at it that way, and I do. Just nothing but good, wholesome, fun. Get outdoors, get some fresh air, get away from all the bad news, and just relax. Unwind, decompress, spend some time in the outdoors, in the woods, or on the water. Feel the sunshine on your face. Feel the cold breeze at the back of your neck. Maybe get a little bit wet. Maybe get rained on. And remind you that you are alive, that you're not confined to this little online world where everything comes at you through a computer screen. Get out. Enjoy the experience. whatever that experience is for you, however you choose to do it, we're all going to have our own way that we enjoy this. But I hope that you have a chance to get out and enjoy Mother Nature. If you are a fisherman, if you are an angler, what's the DNR term? Fishers? Fisher people? No, I don't. I refuse to say fishers. Hunters and fishers? No, I'm not going to say that. Angler? I'll say angler. Hunters and anglers. How about that? If you are an angler, I would bet at one time in your life you've thought about what it would be like to either be, because I hear this all the time. Boy, I love to fish. I would love to be a fishing guide. I'd love to be a charter captain. Or, boy, I love to fish. I'd love to be a tournament fisherman. To that, I always say, be very, very careful what you wish for, because it just might happen. It might come true. And then you would find out that maybe things aren't as rosy as they appear. My guest this hour, Mark Martin, has this experience from both perspectives. He is a former fishing guide and charter captain. He really became known here in Michigan as a person who fished for walleye after dark in Muskegon Lake and the Muskegon Channel. And then he went on to have a very, very successful career as a professional walleye angler. In fact, he won the first national walleye championship. So he knows fishing inside and out. And he's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Mark, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Hey, always glad to be back with you, Mike. It's fun to be able to talk with all of your listeners. They're serious people about the outdoors.
Well, we're all serious. We just look at it with different intensity levels, right?
That's right, exactly. And passionate levels.
Passion,
too.
That's a better word. Yes, passion, absolutely. Now, your passion, you're not being able to take advantage of part of that because right now, at least it's my understanding, the world of walleye tournaments are shut right down for now, aren't they?
Yeah. I just talked with a few other people today, and it don't look, that good because of gatherings, and like they told me, we're just us tournament guys is too big of a gathering to begin with, let alone anybody that wants to come and watch and observe it when we come back in. So they're, living with that dilemma right now, and they're kind of asking me for some of my insight, and I said, I have no insight. I got, thoughts on it, but I have no insight because it's never happened before.
Right.
It's nothing to laugh at either, but it's sad, really, because I like to go out there and prove myself and see and learn things from other people, and that's what you do when you fish tournaments. You find out what's the latest and greatest. Like I tell everybody when I do seminars every year at wherever I'm at is I gather this information from going to college, and that's doing tournaments every year. So my college classes this year have been kind of suspended for right now.
Well, I feel real bad for the charter captains because they're out there trying to make money. They got no income, most of them, a lot of them coming in right now. But I think about the tournament guys. Now, does anybody really make a living at fishing tournaments alone, or is it the other stuff that fills in that void?
It's it used to be back in the old days where they paid so much money down into 30th place that if you finished in 20th every tournament or somewhere in that vicinity and above, you were making I would say $40,000 a year. That and that's not even coming in first ever. So just playing the game and finishing, in the top end of everything, and as long as you can, the last place check in like 35th place was $2,500 to $3,500.
Yeah, but you probably spent that much or more in your hotel, in your time off work for a lot of guys, in your fuel. Right. It wasn't a $2,500 or a $40,000 profit. No,
you had to finish up, in the top 15, to do that, all the time. So no, it's now it's not even like that. I look and I feel sorry for what I see because I understand what I used to do and how I used to do it, and it's not that way anymore. I mean, people get excited about winning $14,000-$15,000 for first in a brand new boat, which is not really the size boat that they actually could go out and ply that same trade to. So I look at, even if you finished, you'd have to win every tournament, and from there on it falls. So no, it's not as you've got to rely on your ability to write. You got to rely on your ability to do seminars. You got to TV, videos, social media. You got to do the whole pie. Schools and in stores, anything that you can get people to listen to you or get their attention and have them come and listen to you. And nowadays that's kind of hard because we can't have any gatherings, but we can do it on social media. I can do it in magazines. So that's kind of where my little world is right now. And that I'm going to be leaving here shortly and head up to the UP, to my house up in the UP, and go smelt dipping, walk on the beach, go four-wheeling. I usually do forever up there once in a while, but I'm going to go and smell the roses a little bit more because I'm not able to go fishing with my friends in the same boat anymore, and do it constructively, 6 feet apart. You can't, even in a 20-foot boat, at times you can't be 6 feet apart. So
how do you net somebody's fish and be more than 6 feet apart, right?
Right, exactly. And somebody's going to be there taking a picture of you or a video and go, look, I gotcha. Those gotcha moments. And I can't afford to have a gotcha moment. So I'm just, if I fish, it'll be, all by myself, or I'll be fishing off a shore, or smelt dipping by myself, or, something that I can do, or with my wife, so we'll spend a little bit more time together than we normally ever get. So, yeah, just like your intro is, you're going to be able to do things with the family more, get to experience the rain falling on your face and getting a little dirty out there four-wheeling, doing things that I normally wouldn't do, but I will be doing now.
Yeah. You mentioned smelt. You still getting a smelt run up there on the Keweenaw?
Yeah, that's, kind of one of the holdout places that I know of. I just talked to my buddy up there the other day, and he said they're getting some, but he said it's going to happen about the time I get up there. It should be right after that, in that vicinity. They've been monitoring it pretty good, and it looks like hopefully it'll be a good year. I'll definitely put pictures on Facebook for you, Mike, and you want to come up, I'll just call.
as long as I don't post where we're at, right?
That's right. Yeah, nobody will know it's dark. There's smelled in the net.
Well, in the old days, I think of like Singing Bridge when people will go in there and they'd dip 55-gallon drums full of it, and that was stupid. It was dumb for us to do that, but you don't see that now. Thank God.
No, I mean I remember people going down to the paper and getting a picture of them with the whole pickup bed overflowing with them.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
I mean, why? You take a 2-gallon bucket of that, and that you clean for hours just that little bit, let alone how are you going to get rid of it?
Yep. Listen, hang tight, Mark. We got to take a break here. We're talking with Mark Martin, a guy, Michigan's Mr. Walleye. I mean, a member of the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame, a very well-known fishing guide and charter captain, and a very well-known tournament angler as well. But these days, I think Mark these days is more well-known as an educator, as someone who has spent his lifetime on the water and is not afraid to share that knowledge and information with others. And that's why I think he makes a very, very interesting guest, and I always look forward to having him here on the Outdoor Magazine show. His website, markmartins.net, markmartins.net. I think there's another one, fishingvacationschool.com is out there as well. So we'll talk more with Mark. And, of course, we'll wrap up the show coming up here. We got a few more minutes yet. In fact, several more minutes. With wild game chef extraordinaire Dave Miner. That's coming up yet right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Houghton Lake on 98.5 WUPS. You can hear us in Ludington on News 97.98, 98.7 WLDN. And you can hear us north of the bridge, way north, in Iron Mountain on WMIQ 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by a very exciting company, and they make a very exciting product. It's a Michigan-based company called Speedy Blaze. Check out their website, speedyblaze.com, speedyblaze.com. It's a safe, clean, water-resistant alternative to firewood, and it's safe to cook over because it's made from recycled hardwood. SpeedyBlaze.com. If you combine Speedy Blaze with like a solo stove, you can have a wonderful campfire or a patio fire pit. Speedy Blaze, a great product, great people, Michigan-based, resistant to moisture. You can store it for a long, long time. Bug-free. There's no downside to it at all. SpeedyBlaze.com is the website to check it out. SpeedyBlaze.com. While you are online, of course, my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and a website for Mark Martin, markmartins.net, and I think fishingvacationschool.com. And Mark, your fishing vacation school, did you end up having enough ice this winter to get that stuff done?
Everything but Saginaw. Saginaw was the only, and it was it was close, and I wasn't going to go on close. I got to be 100% safe. And that's how we run our schools, is safety first. And I had to make a call, and I said, no, we can't do Saginaw. And there's iffy. It was more iffy than not iffy. But we got Mullet Lake in, and we got Houghton Lake in, and Mullet was phenomenal, and so was Houghton Lake this year. It was just out of the, we were the first ones on both lakes. I mean, there might have been a few people venturing out, walking here and there on both lakes, but they're like freaked out that we were out there. Well, there was 7-8 inches of ice when we checked the whole Houghton Lake out, and people go, oh, it's not safe. Well, there probably was, and I know there was areas that wasn't, but we were always safe, and we checked the whole lake out. Took a whole day, and the least we ever seen was 5 inches. The most was 8 inches, and most of it was 6 or 7. And then it just got more and more and more. But there was spots on that lake that really never froze all winter, for some reason. So you just learned where them areas, and that's why we do a reconnaissance for a few days, not only to find fish, but to find, where people could get in trouble, and let people know, not only in the school, but let everybody else know around the lake, hey, it's safe, but don't go here. And the same way with Mullet, you had to stay away from the rivers on both ends of that big body of water also. But you got out there, and we caught more walleyes than we ever have, and found out we learned how to catch them even better. And it added up to these guys that were in the school, students coming back there and doing better than they ever did during the school, even by following the guidelines and the teachings of all the pro staff to the students. But they also took their knowledge and fished in other lakes. They, and I got pictures of them they sent me, and they were like, I was blown away that they had learned so much and paid attention so well that they themselves went to other bodies of water in Michigan that were frozen and had similar experiences. And what we tell people is, we teach them how to tune their spoons and how to jig the correct way. And and the person really, I'll tell you what we found this year, probably the two best people that really caught a lot of fish during the school, 2 out of all the ones. I mean, a lot of them were good anyhow, and they did better than they ever have. But these 2 people that never fished, they never fished in the summer, they never fished in the winter, they never fished. They came to the school for the first time without a fishing pole ever been put in their hand.
Wow.
They heard about it, seen it on the internet, wanted to try it. They tried. They were catching fish, and each of them, they didn't know each other. and they taught, and so everybody every night they tell everybody what they did and how they did it, and they said and each of them got to fish with a pro, so they didn't just go out there with their own tent and their own snowmobile. They were tutored, basically guided, and they were showing all the time what to do. But in the end, at dinner time, find out that these guys, they never expressed to us they never fished before, but asked them how many they caught. They caught fish and were throwing fish back, and there's people that, they caught fish, but they weren't throwing them back. And find out, they said, this is how we did it. We listened to each one of you guys tell us how you did it. Of course, they didn't have no bad habits years ago doing it this way or that way, and they never they said if the fish went away, we did this. If the fish came back, we did this. If the fish went away, we did this. So they were just doing the right thing at all the times, and they caught the most fish, whether it was perch, walleyes, pike, brown trout, you name it. They caught the majority of fish that came in, and they were doing better than some of the pro staff. We're proud though, and we've seen what it took. It's like when they come into a school like this now, is what I tell everybody. I put a box outside the door now, an empty box, and everybody kind of like, well, what the heck is that empty box doing there? And everybody sees it, and I'm talking, and I said, that box out there, everybody's seen it, right? Oh yeah. Open up your head and dump everything you thought you knew into that, sit back down, and now we're going to fill your head full of the correct methods and keep it that way throughout the class for 3 days. And when you leave, you can decide if you want to pick that stuff back up or just leave it there and we'll give it away somewhere.
Mark, I think of you, well, obviously, you first became known as a walleye angler. Is that still your first love? Do you have a favorite type of fish or a favorite type of fishing these days?
No, I really, got to be honest. I love walleye. The walleye, pays my bills, and I understand walleye, because I fished there since I've been itty bitty. But I sure like fishing bluegills and perch and going bass fishing and pike fishing and going smelt dipping here next week. I can't wait. I'm geeked. I got the passion. I got the passion for every kind of fish, Mike. And you do too. And because I fished with you enough, and your dad, and anybody that goes fishing's got a passion. Some of them got a lot, and you got a lot because you're doing what you like to do on radio and talking, and you're still going out and you're guiding and you're still doing fishing and everything. So I know where your passion level is. It takes people like us to encourage the masses, which I'm glad you have the radio show to do, and I do it on the internet and my writing, is to get more people involved in all kinds of fishing. So I realize if I just crammed them full of walleye, they're going to be missing out on the bluegill fishing that's going to be starting right now, and sunfish and panfish when they bed. And so I tell people, if you learn how to walleye fish, the rest of the fish will be a lot easier to catch because they're always mixed in with all the rest of the fish. And a lot of times you're going, oh, it's just a big bluegill, oh, just a nice perch, but you're still catching fish or smallmouth. They all come together, and if you learn how to fish walleye, those techniques are easily handed down to the rest of the species. And it's amazing, even salmon, when it comes to salmon fishing, the salmon techniques work just as well on walleye. So if you learn walleye and all the techniques that go along with walleye, you can be a pro at all the rest of the species. So, yeah, I love to fish all species, and it's not hard for me to, morph into a different kind of fish right at the snap of my fingers.
Michigan has to be, though, one of the top walleye states in the country, isn't it, as far as a destination for anglers?
Oh, yeah, because you got, river, lake, reservoir, Great Lakes. I mean, that's one of the things that I feel that the people in Michigan, they're blessed to have all these kinds of fisheries, plus a variety of places to fish, where you go out west and you got the Missouri River, it goes into, different reservoirs and the little ponds off the side. You got a bunch of them, but it's not like being in Michigan where you can go brook trout fishing and rainbow fishing, and you can go over here and be out in a big boat and salmon fishing, and then on the bays for walleyes and pike and bass and perch. And it's, there you're pretty well, if you're on this body of water, you're going to catch this, this, and this. If you want to catch something else, you got to go a long ways to go find something else. So we're blessed here in Michigan, and I'm blessed to be growing up here, but I was blessed because it taught me how to fish many different types of bodies of water and catch the walleyes that got me to where I am. And I was able to go out into other states, and it didn't seem that foreign to me to go into another state. The fish are the same. They do the same thing. So I was able to adapt to conditions in lakes because I treated each lake kind of like Muskegon Lake. And then I'd come back from fishing Mille Lacs Lake using Muskegon Lake techniques on it, and I'd have a new technique that I'd take and catch Muskegon Lake walleyes on Mille Lacs method. So it don't matter, your walleyes or fish aren't any more special than anybody else's as long as you learn how to do the methods correctly. And that's why where our schools come in, whether it's open water or ice. And I do have an open water school coming on Saginaw Bay. Cross your fingers and knock on wood. The end of June, the first day of July, out of Linwood Beach right there. And we're going to be taking a dozen people or a dozen boats out, and two to a boat maximum, and teach them how to catch fish out of their own boats.
This is a first for you, isn't it?
It's been 15 years since I've done a open water school on Saginaw Bay. We did open water school on Green Bay last year. Remember that?
No, I don't. Hey, listen, hang tight. I got to take another break. Can I offer you the coveted third segment?
Hey, always, Mike. I appreciate it.
We'll do that. We'll take a break here on the Outdoor Magazine Show. And when we come back, the coveted third segment from Mark Martin, his website, markmartins.net, and fishingvacationschool.com. We'll talk more fishing with Mark Martin coming up after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine Show on the Twister 92.1 WTWS in Houghton Lake. You can hear us in Manistee on WMLQ 97.7 FM. Just down the road in Muskegon on WKBZ 1090 AM. And also on our flagship station, News Radio 790 WSGW in Saginaw. I say flagship with no disrespect to any of our affiliates, but I'm sitting in the WSGW studio right now. Of course, when I'm here, it's called the Outdoor Magazine Studio. Pat Johnston with me doing a wonderful job, as always, keeping our studio sanitized and COVID-free. There's not a germ in here right now. I will guarantee you that. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by Wilds Plumbing and Heating. From plumbing, heating, air conditioning, sump pumps, cooling, cleaning, ductwork, you name it, the folks from Wilds can help you out. Now, unfortunately, they're kind of on hiatus right now. They're waiting. They are eagerly awaiting the word that they can return back to their normal business operations, and they will do so right away. However, they are still doing some emergency work. So if you have a problem that you need to get fixed, the folks from Wilds can help you out now, and they can help you out in the future. Check them out online at wildsplumbingandheating.com. That's wildsplumbingandheating.com. While you're online, of course, my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and markmartins.net, the website of Mark Martin, professional walleye angler and one of the higher profile fishermen here in Michigan for many, many, many years. Mark, these days, I think of you as an educator, and you certainly strive to do that. I mean, you're not afraid to share information with other folks, that's for sure. No,
it makes me wiser too. You know, I share, and they see I'm sharing things they've never heard of, and then I gain back from them too. They share things back, so everybody's sharing everything, and that's what's nice about the schools, because at night when we eat supper, everybody can't wait to tell each other what they did, and it's all the methods we taught them. And like I said before your break, we're going to be on Saginaw Bay, at the end of June, the 1st of July, and they can go to the fishing vacation school, or they can get a hold of me on my website or on my email too, and ask me about it.
How big of a boat would you need, Mark? I mean, can somebody with a 14-footer take advantage of that?
Nah, 17 is we'll cut it off at 17, and we send them a spreadsheet of what they're going to need to complete the class, and what we're going to be talking about. But we're going to have classroom on Sunday. They get to go to Frank's with us and pick up everything they should have or don't have. And to complete everything for Monday morning, we're going to be out on the water all day Monday, all day Tuesday, and then half of Wednesday. And it's, we got Brandon Stanton. He's going to be one of the captains, and Andrew Hendrickson's going to be the other captain, and I'm going to be the other captain. So what it's going to be is, 12 boats, and, we're in charge of, the first 4 is going to be one of us, and then after they've done their job on 4, they're going to move over to my 4 or to Andrew's 4, and, we're by the end, if we're going to do planer board fishing, they're going to have 3 different captains, variances of the same thing. Lead core, the same thing. Bottom bouncers, the same thing. Inline weights, the same thing. Throwing shiver minnows, jigging rapalas, snap jigging. They're going to have 3 different variances. And the list goes on and on and on and on. As much as we can get done in 2.5 days on the water, but it's going to be in their boat, not ours. And we're going to be able to be with them as much as possible, and then we leave them go on their own to practice until the next captain gets back in to expand upon that same idea, and then they let them go, and then a little while later another one comes in. So they're getting tutored just enough all the time throughout the day on different techniques, and by the end they could probably go fish a tournament if it was the next day or the next weekend. So it's fun to watch them grow, out of their own boat. And if they would have hired me to do that, I'm going to be setting the rods. I'm going to be picking them up, setting the hook. I'm going to put the lines out. I'm going to put the boards on. I'm going to do everything. And I'm going to tell them, oh, you got a fish, reel it in. Well, yeah, they're going to still reel in their own fish, but they're going to learn how to set all these methods, make all these methods, so that they're experts when they go fishing next time out of their own boat. And that's a big thing right there, is being able to reproduce it on your own. And it's worked out. Some of the people are coming all the way from Green Bay, where I had it last year. Going to have it in Saginaw Bay. I always wanted to fish there and learn some of the techniques. I'm in, so we're a little over half full right now.
Oh, so you've still got openings. Good.
Yeah, even with this CO, I lost a few because there's a few people who got worried.
Sure.
But now that opened it up for other people that, wish to attend, and we're only going to have 12 boats. And we're going to, be able to safely disperse everybody, and keep everybody 6 foot away from each other, and they're going to be in their own boats.
Well, so maybe if we're lucky by then, you won't have to worry about it. Maybe.
I'm thinking that yeah, maybe.
All right, Mark. Listen, I got to let you go. I'm out of time. Always a pleasure. I'll send people to the website markmartins.net. If you want to learn more about the Fishing Vacation School, fishingvacationschool.com. We'll take a break here. When we come back, we'll wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire Dave Miner coming up right here on Outdoor Magazine. Welcome back to Outdoor Magazine. My name is Mike Avery, and it is always a pleasure. In fact, it's a blessing for me to be able to be here every week at this time, talking with you about the outdoors, this wonderful, beautiful, natural resources we're surrounded by right now. And is there ever a better time to get outdoors and just decompress, have fun, get some fresh air than right now? I don't think so. My good friend, wild game chef extraordinaire Dave Miner, is also a person who loves the outdoors, and he's an absolute master in the kitchen, and he's with us once again to help us wrap up this week's show. David, welcome back. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. How about yourself, Michael?
I'm doing great. Couldn't be better. Couldn't be better. Always
Good,
a pleasure to talk
good.
with you, David.
Same here, Michael.
What do you got for us this week?
Well, have you been seeing any birds?
Oh, I had the last time I was out, it was one of the best days I've had in the turkey woods. I was calling 3 different birds at once. I had one within 12 yards, just couldn't get a shot. So to answer your question, yes, it was a wonderful morning in the blind. How about you? How about
I've
you?
never had so much fun as yesterday. I had 20 birds come through.
See, you and I were talking the same day. There was something about yesterday. I don't know if the weather changing or what, but it was like flipping a switch, wasn't it?
I had 4 jakes that I could have actually touched them with my shotgun barrel. That close.
Yep. It was the weather. It was
It was just glorious.
Oh.
Anyway, let's do it while we got a little minute left.
Yeah.
I got a sauteed turkey breast steaks with frangelico. So you're going to need about 8 to 10 ounces of steak per person. Cut it across the grain. Check for any shot after you slice it. Pound it down quite thin in between some plastic wrap. You need a medium onion diced fine, 2 to 3 ounces or more of frangelico liquor, either a little bit of diced up garlic, or if you make garlic butter, use that. A couple ounces of heavy cream, anywhere from 2 to 3. A box of sliced thin mushrooms, 1 jar of turkey or chicken gravy, and this would be for 4 portions, so you have a nice amount of gravy. And I like to use a decent brandy in this. You don't have to, it's an optional, but it just, to me, builds up that flavor. A little bit of olive oil, some flour, and white pepper. After you pound down the breast steaks between the saran wrap or plastic, sprinkle some white pepper on it, and then dredge it in the flour. And in a nice hot pan, you want to kind of brown and caramelize the outside of this. So pretty hot. You might want to do only 1 or 2 per pan. Brown them off real good. Place them in an oven-proof casserole, and then saute the onions, garlic, mushrooms, and then get that nice and kind of just break the flavor loose. It might only take a couple of minutes. You want to take a flambe away from your stove hood. Use a barbecue lighter, kind of light it up. Or you can add the gravy and stuff, put it in there, and then it won't flame up. It's up to you. So get that all nice and hot. Add the gravy, as I said, the cream, the butter, the mushrooms, all of that. Taste it. Make sure this is what you're looking for. Pour it over the casserole. You want to bake it uncovered because you want to kind of reduce that down. And it might take anywhere up to 30 minutes or more, depending on how old that tom is and how much you pounded it down. The reason you pound it down is so it doesn't pucker up and draw up. Them turkey breast steaks like that would have a tendency to draw up and be almost round instead of flat. So you want to pound it down to the point where you think, well, maybe a little more would be fine, and if that's what it looks like, do it, because they're going to still draw right back up. For some reason, turkey does that. As I said, about 350 degrees for quite a while. You can take a fork, maybe 2 forks, and try to pull it apart a little bit, and if it's done, boom, it's ready. Serve this with just about anything you wanted. If you could find some fiddleheads, I've looked long and hard, and I still haven't found any of them. Or morels, I haven't found any of them either. And I got all the time in the world, and I've been in the woods. So they're not there yet, not in our neck of the woods. So I'm happy.
It sounds wonderful, Dave, as all of your dishes do. Wild turkey, folks should not expect the turkey that you're going to shoot in the Michigan woods this spring is not going to taste like that butterball you put on your table at Thanksgiving, is it?
You're right, because the butterball turkeys are injected with a saline in a stock solution. They have these great big giant machines that they pass through breast side up, and they have hundreds of needles that go in that are hollow, and they inject it with a butter and stock solution to help make them juicier. So there's really no comparison. Plus, it's not going to cook up Snow White as the butterball, but to me, it's got tremendous flavor. I mean, them birds are eating bugs and grass and acorns and all them wild seeds and stuff. And to me, it tastes real nutty, actually, the flavor.
Well, David, unfortunately for now, we can't go to Oscar and Joey's, but when we can, we're going to come back and see you with a vengeance.
I hope so. I'm just sick and tired of not doing any cooking except at home.
Well, Terry, you're going to put some weight on Terry. She could use it.
Oh, we've been walking anywhere from 2 to 3.5 miles a day with the dogs, and so whatever we've been eating, we've been walking on.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. All right, my friend, good luck on that bird, and I'll talk to you next week.
Good luck tomorrow for you also, Michael.
I appreciate that. Wild Game Chef Extraordinaire Dave Miner, a big part of the Outdoor Magazine show, as are you. I do appreciate you listening. I do appreciate you checking in. Hey, during the week, check out the website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and always feel free to send me an email to Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and we'll talk to you next time right here on Outdoor Magazine.